Okay, I'm making this video as kind of an introduction to Phantasy Star Online. This is using the private server Ephinea. I'll include a link in the description. A friend of mine was having trouble both finding where to go to get started and actually getting past the first few levels because it can be a pretty tough game. So hopefully this will cover all the different races real quick and how to get started with your first few levels. Get you over that initial hump so you can actually play the game as a solo player in the first area and not die within like 2 hits. So we're going to make a new character. And we're going to skip the movie here. So you have 3 choices for class. You have hunters, who are melee combat specialists, rangers, who use ranged weapons, obviously, and forces. Forces are like mages or wizards. Weaken physical attack power, but they can cast a whole bunch of spells. Hunter's the recommended class for beginners. I don't know why. I find it a lot easier to start with a ranger because you can shoot everything and you don't have to get close to anything. You have less health, maybe a little bit less attack, but being able to keep distance between you and the enemies is a hell of a trade-off. But we're going to use a hunter for this. Humans are balanced all around. They can cast spells, they can attack and do any class. However, they're kind of mediocre. They don't have the highest attack, they don't have the highest accuracy, they don't have the highest mental strength, they don't have the highest TP, but they can do it all. Kind of a trade-off. Humans, which are like the space elves, are really good at casting magic. However, they can't be rangers at all. They change that in later versions of the game, later releases, but for this one, no Newman is a ranger. They're either hunters or forces. They are better at magic, and they can regenerate TP over time, which is like their magic. That's a very definite good thing to have. If you're making a magic user, I would highly recommend making a Newman over a human. Casts are the third race. They are robots, basically. Cannot cast any magic whatsoever. They have 0 TP. However, they usually have the highest attack and accuracy. Also, they regenerate HP when standing still and not attacking. Again, big benefit because if you don't care how much time you're taking, you can stand there after a tough fight and regain some health before you move on. Make yourself a sandwich or go get a drink or something. Pretty handy to have. We are going to start with one of the weakest hunters, which is the Hunawar. Your section ID determines your drops and what you get and everything. That's determined by your name using an algorithm. However, on this server, you can only change your name after making your character, which won't change your section ID, but you can also, once every 3 calendar months, physically change your section ID to a specific one. So that kind of negates that use. Alright, we are going to log into the US server, and there's actually 2. If you hit tab, you can see in the lower left corner how many users and parties there are. There's also a European one, with literally 1 person playing, and you can also change languages. So we're going to go to the first US one that has a larger population, and again, blocks, you can see how many users and parties are in those. This is the main lobby. This is kind of where you can meet up with other players, talk about what you're going to play, what you're going to do, all that stuff. Or if you're antisocial like me, you just come talk to the people at the middle here. They're how you access the game. So you can transport and change ships, which would be the European ship or the 2 US ships, or blocks, which are the individual rooms like this one on that ship. There's also team, where you can create a team, which I believe is like a guild. I haven't played with that too much. Statistics, you can see various things going on in the game server that you've done. Help gives you some help there. Options, that's self-explanatory. We want organized party. You can join a party that's already made, or what we're going to do is we're going to create a party. Episode 1 is where I'd recommend you start. These get progressively harder as you go through them. You're asking where Episode 3 was? That was a separate game, literally called Phantasy Star Online Episode 3 Card Revolution. It was a card-based game, and it didn't do too well, so when they brought out Blue Burst, they added Episode 4 here and just went, ignore the story of 3, it's fine. You have to make a party name. Doesn't matter what it is, especially if you're going to be doing solo, which is what we're going to do. You can enter a password, so that way if your party is open to other people and you don't want random people joining, you can set a password. Give your friends the password, they can join the game, no problem. Play mode. You have normal, which is the usual default game mode. Challenge mode, which is, I forget exactly, I believe you start out at level 1 and you have to find your weapons and armor and everything as you go through the game. Battle mode, which is basically PvP, and 1 person, which it's meant for 1 player, and there's only things you can do in 1 person mode. I would recommend starting out with 1 person, because the quests we're going to do that give you NPC helpers need to be done in 1 person mode. Difficulty, as it says, enemies get higher leveled and give more experience and everything, but you can't kill them at level 1 on even hard, so stick with normal for now. Hit registration and it'll take you to the actual game world. You start out on the ship Pioneer 2, specifically in the Hunter's Guild. This is where we're going to start playing the game, but there are quests when you are in normal mode that you can only do in normal mode that progress the story of the game. For those, you'll want to come over here, take the elevator to the principal, and there will be several NPCs at the desks here. You'll want to talk to the black-haired girl on this side. She'll give you your first quest. She'll actually give you all the quests. And the progression goes from listening to the principal tell you what to do, talking to his assistant, and then going out in the field and doing it. When you're done, you come back here, talk to the principal. He'll sometimes tell you to talk to the receptionist here, and then you talk to this lady to finish. After every quest, you'll be booted back to the lobby. Kinda sucks, but you want to keep going, you have to make a new game then, which you won't lose anything. It'll keep your quest progression. For all other quests that aren't government story quests, you talk to this lady. As you can see, there's a variety of quest types. side story and solo only appear in single player mode. I think maybe Halloween also, but I'm not sure. What we're going to do, because we're starting out, is side story. One of these quests is you on your own with no NPC helper, and 2 of them do give you NPC helpers. Claiming a stake is the one that doesn't give you an NPC, so I would not recommend that one. I would recommend battle training first, then magnitude of metal, and then claiming a stake. We'll start with battle training. And you can skip the dialogue if you want. Basic premise is a hunter is missing down on the surface of the planet. We are teaming up with another hunter to save them and get a data disk that he has. This is the other hunter. We have to talk to him. Go back to the client. He tells us what we need to do. Once you hear that magic tone, that means your quest is active and you can go down and kill stuff. This teleporter will take you anywhere you need to go. As you can see, we only have the forest right now. In normal mode, or even in single player mode, when you're not on a quest, you'll have 4 options: forest, caves, mines, and ruins. They get progressively harder. Start at the forest, work your way downwards. Smashing boxes is always good. There's money, item pickups, weapons, all that stuff inside. There's a 3-hit combo system, and you can't mash the button. If you just mash A, you're only going to do 1 hit. You have to time your hits in a combo like that. That includes normal attacks and strong attacks. Later on, you can also do a special attack. That'll do stuff like, if you have a bind weapon, it'll bind the enemy. It only works if you do that special attack. Hard and special attacks have lower accuracy, and each subsequent hit on the enemy in your 3-hit combo has higher accuracy. So if you can't hit them with a hard attack on your first or second hits, use 2 normals and hit with a heavy third. These switches will open doors, which the NPC tells you. This is really the tutorial quest. This is what every level 1 character should probably start out doing, even if you've already done this game 100 times. Unless you've got friends with you, I'd really recommend doing this quest. One trick you can do if the NPC doesn't kill the giant sack here is you can let this thing continue to spit out bugs. Each one gives you XP. There's a finite amount of bugs inside. Once it stops spitting them out and it sits there not doing anything else, you've killed all the bugs. So something that I noticed that I picked up was a new weapon. So if you open your menu, go into Item Pack and Equip. You can see all of your equipment there. We have weapon, we have armor, we have a shield, and then we have our mag. Mags I'll go into at the end of the video here. So as you can see, this saber is white along with this one. This weapon is grayed out and has an X, and this one is green. So, white weapons are like the base level of that weapon. Every single white saber will have the same exact stats. Canes, these are weapons for forces. No other class can use them. there are some weapons other classes can use. Every class can use a saber, every class can use a handgun. Certain classes can use partisans, certain classes can use grenade launchers. It varies from class to class and what weapon it is. This green one means something is better than the regular white version. So as you can see, all the stats here are the same, but if we scroll over a page, this has an extra 5% damage against native creatures. Everything in the forest area is a native creature. You'll see as you get to episodes 2 and 3, or 2 and 4, these creatures will be mixed together. So something that's more effective against what you're fighting is always a good thing to have. So we're going to equip that. And we're going to back out. Actually, I'm going to check to make sure I don't have anything else here. Okay. The other way you can access your inventory quickly for weapons and for items, if you hold in the button to change your palette, it's Control on the keyboard. I have mine bound to one of the bumpers on my Xbox controller. You'll see that top yellow icon change from a speech bubble to a little reverse S. Hit that, and it opens up the quick switch menu. First option is all of your weapons that you can use. If you hit the bumper again, it'll take you to your items that you can use, and again to spells. Everything grayed out, I don't have. I can't use it. You can use those, or you can learn them by finding discs and using them once you have the required mental strength to do it. But weapon switching comes in handy when you're in a place like the mines and you need to switch between a melee weapon and a handgun pretty quickly. Or if you want to switch between a weapon that drains HP and a weapon that drains TP. Something else important to do with these missions with NPCs in them, try to tag enemies if you can. Tagging is just doing any amount of damage on the enemy. Doesn't matter if it's 1 point or 100. With other players, it's less of an issue because this server has settings so that way as long as you are near the battle, you will get experience. You don't need to tag enemies. When you level up, you refill both your HP and your TP, which is very good because I was about to heal there. These deactivate laser fences. Always good to hit them. They usually bar passage to another side room or a way through a room that might have less traps in it, or just a small area with some boxes. When it comes to fighting these wolves, the purple one you want to take out first because he can buff the others. And when he dies, these wolves sometimes do give themselves a debuff. Alright, so here's an example with the army. You can see this one's green. It has one more defense point than my regular white armor. Something else you want to look for, on this page, at the bottom it says slot. If you can get something with slots in it, it is very good. Slots are basically extra things you can equip into armor to boost your stats. And you don't have to worry about, you know, do I equip something in the slot or do I save it? It is literally a piece of gear. So you can equip an armor and equip your best units in it. As soon as you find new armor that's even better and has slots in it, you can equip that and put your old units in that new armor. Doesn't cost anything, you don't have to unequip them first. As soon as you change armor, those units get unequipped. Something else I will show you while I'm here. You can see I have a handgun. It tells you at the bottom the stat that you need, and then in parentheses what you have. I need 4 extra ATA in order to use this handgun. And another thing while we're at it, customize. That's where you set up your action palette. That's the thing in the corner that lets me attack and heal and all of that. You have 2 of them. You hit the button to switch between the 2 and it'll take you to the back row. This also applies to your 1 through 0 keys on your keyboard. If you hit A to assign an action on either palette, you can go to the item you want and hit the key on the keyboard and it'll assign it to that number. This also, as I said, applies to the back row. You can see how these don't have numbers now. If I assign them to the same numbers, I can hold in the shift key and then hit that number and it'll do that item as opposed to the one on the first row. This changes as you hit the button, as you can see in the bottom there. 9 and 0 go from having my healing and MP replenishment items to nothing. The only time this throws you off is when your mag levels up and you get what's called a photon burst. That changes all of your hotkeys on your second row and you have access to nothing but the photon bursts, which kind of sucks. So put anything important that you need on your primary hotbar if you can. Grappies are a unique enemy. They're kind of the chocobo, in a sense, of the Phantasy Star universe. They're in many games, not every game, but they've become like the mascot character. And after you kill them, you can see how they're not going away. They're basically faking being dead at this point. So you want to stay around them, and they will wake up and then drop items after you hit them again, like that. They don't give any extra experience or anything, they just drop items when you do that. So there's the hunter we need, and there's the disc that we need. We talk to our partner. He's taking the boy. We have to take the disc to the client. Now, this thing is what's known as a teleporter. You can use them, you can make them by using a spell, or using an item called Telepipe. The spell Ryuker also makes one, so if you have the ability to cast that spell, it's like having infinite telepipes with you. A telepipe can be used by anyone to go back to the city and to come to where you are, or where the telepipe puts you out. However, whoever made the telepipe, when they come back from the city through it, it will erase the telepipe. So if your team is out there in the city, and you go to the city also, and you come back through your telepipe, and that's how they got there, you'll have to make another one to let everyone else come back through. Also good to know, if you make one, go to the city, come back, and you die in a boss or something that you fought immediately afterwards. Make another pipe so you can come right back to the boss. So here you have the bank. What I would recommend everyone do, you hit spacebar, that's how you open up the chat interface. On this server, you can type in /bank, and it will change from a character bank, which is specific to this exact character and only that character, to a shared bank, which is accessed by all of your characters on the account. They have the same storage space though, so 200 items maximum. If there's stuff that you want to keep for this character that doesn't need to be in your shared bank, then by all means, pull it out, put it on your character, type in /bank, change it over to your character bank, and store it there. That way, you don't have to worry about filling that up. But for all intents and purposes, I would recommend using the shared bank. It can make it very easy to find stuff, better gear on your other characters, like all of these weapons and armor and spells that I have, and just pull it onto a new character. As you can see, I have a lot of units and stuff, and some spells, which we're actually going to take 2 of those. Same thing with money. You can deposit and take money and transfer it between characters using that. In here you have all the shops. You have the Techer. He is who you talk to when you find an unidentified item. It'll appear in cyan text and it'll say question mark, sword +1 or something like that. You talk to this guy, you pay him $100. He will look at it, tell you what he thinks it is, and then give it back to you. You can decline that, you still have to pay, but you can decline his evaluation of it and have him reevaluate it, or take it to another Techer, which these vary by section ID, so if your friend has a different section ID with a different Techer, you can go to his game and have them analyze it. Something that you want to use this for is because a weapon will never change what type of prefix it has. If it's a drain saber that drains enemy HP and gives it to you, it's always going to be that type of weapon. However, it can change the percentage bonus it gives to different creatures. It can change the grind, the +3, 4, 5 on it, and it can also change what level of special effect it does. So for the HP draining ones, draw is the weakest, which drains 5% of the HP, gives it to you. Drain is the next step up, which is 9%. I forget what the top tier is, but I believe it's around 12%. So if you're not sure what it is, Google's your friend. Just type in ESO flame weapon, and you can find the fixes with what level they are. 1, 2, 3. This guy sells weapons, and you can see they're green and white and stuff too. This one sells all of your items. I'd recommend checking them just to see what spells they have in stock. These are a consumable item, so if you don't have Rest at level 2, you don't need Rest at level 2 in order to learn Rest at level 3, but if you only have one Resta disc and you want it on 3 characters, only one of those characters can use the disc, and then it goes bye-bye. So it's always good to have a couple discs on hand that you can use that you don't have yet. As you can see here, I don't have the ability to use that one, or that one, or even this one, because my mental strength is too low. This is the armor shop. Again, you can buy armor, you can buy shields, you can buy units from him. Any shopkeeper will take any items you sell. I would recommend when you're starting out, keep a handgun, preferably a good one that you'll need. And we're going to switch frames for that one, because it's even better. Now, when your inventory gets junky and all out of whack, you can just go under items, sort automatically. Go put your equipped weapon at the top, weapons in order according to melee, then range, then force ones. Armor and units next. Again, equipped, and then anything that's not equipped. And then your mag. And then all of the items with your money at the bottom. Speaking of mags, every mag starts out at level 5. Once every, I believe it's 5 minutes in the real world, maybe it's closer to 10, you can give it 3 items. And every mag's first evolution depends on the class holding it when it reaches level 10. So if you want a specific first evolution of a mag, make one of those characters, put the mag in your storage, have them feed it until it levels up and changes into whatever that first thing is. Because this is a hunter, I'd recommend focusing on power, probably some accuracy. For power, you want monomate items, or any mate items. For accuracy, you want any of the status healing items, antidote, anti-paralysis, things like that. For magic ones, you want fluids. Monofluid, difluid, trifluid. And as you can see, as I feed it, the different stats go up. Its synchro goes up, and its IQ goes up. Synchro, from what I remember, is the chance it will do a special thing under certain circumstances. Typically when you first get to a boss, when you get low on health, or when you fill up your photon blast gauge. And then IQ is the level of support it gives you, from just a simple heal or just a low level attack and defense boost to a high level one. Every time the bar fills, it goes up by a stack. For the initial mag, there's nothing that will reduce stats on it, so you have to be kind of careful when you're feeding it that you don't screw it up. Once it evolves, it can actually lose certain stats, but it will never go lower than the level it's currently at. So if we had some item that would reduce power, that red bar can go away. It will never go to 0 power. It will stay at whatever level it's currently at. So we're done with this quest. Instead of reporting to the principal, because it wasn't a government quest, it was a Hunter's Guild quest, so we're going to go here and talk to the client. When you hear that tone, it means your quest is done, and you talk to the quest giver. They'll give you your reward, and the quest is done, and it'll boot you back to the lobby. When you're done playing, just open up the menu, hit quit game, and there you go. Simple as that. Hopefully these tips help you to get past your first few levels. I'd recommend doing all 3 of those starter missions. They'll get you up to level 4 or so. That should be enough to handle some of the easier enemies in the forest on your own. And from there, it's just a matter of kill stuff, get XP, get stronger weapons, kill even harder things for more XP. Thank you, and have a fun time playing.